Good morning, Superboy the Legacy fans. This is your Superboy fact checker, Chris Jacobsen. With me, as always, is the effervescent Tom Gallagher.
Hey, guys.
So we're going to do one of our patented bonus commentaries. We're going to go with a season 2 episode today, and this is one of my favorites. A little bit of a guilty pleasure, mind you. Yellow PERI'S Spell of Doom. So we're going to count you down. However you're watching it, whether it's on iTunes, Amazon, Tubi, or your DVD sets. So we're going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, start.
I do love the season 2 intro.
Yeah,
I like the music. I like the way it's edited, the graphics, like the 3D title Superboy as we saw a minute ago. Same one from season 1, but you know.
Yep.
And Andy's random screams in the middle of the theme song.
Yeah.
I kind of miss when TV series would do that. You'd always have like intro sequences to shows, and they'd randomly cut in a bit of the audio from the episode. I know Buffy did it, especially in season 1. You would have Amy's mother's, that the character of Amy's mother, she does like the scream in the beginning of season 1, and to this day I hear the Buffy theme. I hear that scream whether it's there or not.
Yep. The lovely Elizabeth Kiefer. I wonder if she did anything after this.
I like that photo. I don't know if I've seen that outside of this. I bet Sam's got it.
Yeah,
guarantee in one of his albums full of photographs from the show, I guarantee that one's in there somewhere. You'll have to send it to me. I'll colorize it for him.
Yep. Heck, knowing Sam, he probably has the actual autographed one.
Probably.
The prop.
Yeah. Yeah, if Gerard still had it in his collection when he sold it to Sam, he's probably got it somewhere.
Unless, of course, Elizabeth Kiefer has it.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, the guest stars got to have some sort of souvenir from the show. I know if I ever guest starred in an episode of, I don't know, some Superman show, I'd say, can I have a little piece of kryptonite to take back with me? Just as a souvenir. I'd have to have a little lump of kryptonite. Especially if it was Smallville, where kryptonite is just everywhere. It's like, come on, you can give me one chunk of kryptonite. You've got like 1 billion of them in this show.
Now we see the introduction of the dummy and the magic book. Yellow PERI originally appeared in 3 issues of the New Adventures of Superboy comic in the early 80s.
My personal favorite version of the Superboy comics. I love the New Adventures stuff. I think it's just so much fun.
Yeah,
I know you agree with that because it's what you grew up reading, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course you got the great art by the late Kurt Schaffenberger. So that's just great right there. And I like the fact that when they designed her costume for the show, they really went all out to adapt the actual costume from the issues.
Which is the same thing we continue to do with the season 5 stuff anyway, isn't it? It's like, not so much with Metallo version 2, but like we had to change things a little bit, but Vartox is a little bit closer, and let's face it, the Atomic Skull is about as close to comic accurate as you can get.
Yep. Now the difference between Yellow PERI of the comics and this one is, in the comics, she just wanted to use magic. But the problem is that the book that she got, she was inept at it. So,
which is always fun. I like stuff like that.
She was less of a villain and more of nuisance.
Which is how I kind of see Mixer's Pitlick sometimes and Bizarro, and it's funny that Superman does kind of have quite a few villains that are not strictly evil, but they cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You know?
And
like, I would never call Bizarro from the show a villain.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, you know.
The character of Gazook in the comics he looked to be a teddy bear. He wasn't a dummy. And there has been, speculation over the years that he may have been a fifth dimensional imp, like Mixie.
See, I see a talking dummy, and I just think maybe when we introduce Batman in season 5, maybe there's some sort of connection with the ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface. But
could be.
We'll have to really come up with a good reason for that. Oh yes, the famous Superboy mask.
Yep.
I love the fact that there's still several of them in existence. Like, they didn't all just get destroyed, because let's face it, that kind of plastic mask, they get destroyed so quickly.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it looks exactly like Gerard's face.
Apparently it was based on his face. Like, I think Alan Claw Duckworth, he's a friend of all of ours on Facebook and stuff, but he prop master on the show. I believe he made the masks, and I think he's even still got some, he said. So yeah. Which makes me wonder, I kind of wish they still had the what is it, the mold or whatever it is to make those masks, because when we have Roads Not Taken in season 3 and you've got the busts of the Sovereign, it doesn't really look like Gerard.
Yeah.
But if they had, the mold ready, it's a shame they couldn't just pull it out of storage and.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I tell you what, if I was the dictator of the planet, I'd make sure the busts and paintings and statues and all that stuff, I'd make sure they look like me.
Yeah.
I would not be happy if they didn't. I do love the season 2 suit. It's just a shame the cape gets unbuttoned so often. Otherwise, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But the way the shoulders look massive, like, yeah, Sam's right. He said 1,000 times it makes him look like the John Byrne Superman, and yeah, such a cool suit. I do like this scene, just the fact that he's getting people asking for his autograph, because I know that from interviews that I've read and listened to with John Newton, one of the things that he kept saying in season 1 was that he kept flying in as Superboy and all the extras would just be ignoring him. And he's like, if Superboy was about to land in front of you, people would be paying attention.
Yeah.
And in this, they are. So obviously they took some of that to heart. But yeah, whenever I see it, it just reminds me of that struggle with the first season. What's the dummy's name? Kazook?
Gazook.
Yeah. I love the fact that he's just chilling in the tree. Like, did she put him in the tree, or?
I don't know.
He's just sitting in the tree. It's just adorable.
Yeah, we all know why he's in the tree. They had to have somebody, manipulating him, and they had to hide them. So the easiest way is to put him in a tree.
But it totally works. It totally works. It's adorable. Yeah, they really leaned in with the Clark comedy, didn't they, in the second season?
Yeah.
Which is the main reason a lot of people don't like Gerard's version of Clark, even though I think by season 3 he completely fixed all the season 2 problems, and season 3 Clark is like brilliant as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, season 2, a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Especially in scenes like that.
As much as I understand what they were trying to do, they were trying to make him, more Christopher Reeve.
But I don't think even Reeve went quite as far with a physical comedy like that. Maybe in Superman 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't take lessons from Superman 3. Of all the films, that's the one you don't take lessons from. Maybe.
Well, no.
Oh, 4 as
No,
well.
you do take lessons from that. You take lessons of what not to do.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah, like don't hire Richard Pryor and then give him nothing funny to do. Big mistake there.
Yeah. Well, given what we found out about what was actually going to be in Superman 3, what Ilya's original plan was.
Oh, like the marrying Supergirl and Brainiac and
Yeah.
was Mixers Pitlick in that as well? I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dudley Moore.
I'm glad that version didn't happen because let's face it, one of the biggest complaints about superhero films in the modern era is when they put too many villains in it. And they would have got started on that trend so much earlier if that was the case.
Yeah.
There's very few films with multiple villains that I think actually work. Like I think Batman Returns works. I was going to say Spider-Man 3 to a certain extent, but Spider-Man 3 doesn't work for me either, really.
Yeah.
It's better than people give it credit for, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah. Okay, this is the problem that I have with this episode. It's a plastic bubble.
Yeah. I was just thinking, does nobody carry... Yeah, get some scissors. Like, does nobody carry, like, a pocket knife or something? Like,
Well,
it doesn't have to be like a weapon knife, but, people carry, like, that little multi-tool thing around with them all the time. You always see it. I've often got a couple of little tools on me just in case.
And the problem is he just keeps punching it. Like that's going to open it up.
See, I would just pull a lighter out of my pocket and just melt a little bit of the bubble.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite super changes that I just think it's silly, but it's so much fun. Yeah, I mean, I get it's not supposed to be plastic, but yeah.
Would it probably work better if they'd done it as a an SFX effect?
Yeah, even just a very basic one. Like, let's face it, you stick a camera on a tripod though, and the special effect for that would have been really easy to do.
Yeah.
Might not have looked great, but it probably would have looked better than a plastic bubble.
Yeah.
Or even just add some, in VFX afterwards, add a bit of a glow to the bubble, make like, alter it somehow so it doesn't look quite so obvious.
Yeah. She really looks good in that costume. I gotta say it.
Oh, yeah. I can't say I'm familiar with the actress from anything else, but she is good in this episode. Like I say, it's not one of my favourite ones, but it's not one I dislike at all. I think it's got some really fun stuff in it. Like I said, Clark climbing up the rope to change into Superboy, I think it's just very funny. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a charm to it.
I think what we should do is probably track her down, see if she's available to do an interview or a podcast one of these days.
Oh, definitely. I wonder if she's on Twitter or anything.
We'll definitely have to find out.
Or preferably something like Instagram, where you can just private message anyone. You don't have to have them follow you back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not above public tweeting at someone and saying, "Would you like to be on the show?" I've done it before. I've done it with J.M. DeMattis.
Yep.
We'll have to get him on the show at some point because he has told me multiple times that he is more than happy to join us on the show at some point.
Yep.
He's just a really nice guy in general. So.
Oh yeah, this cheesy effect.
You know what? It works though. As far as a face disappearing effect goes, that looks pretty damn good for 1989, you know?
Yeah.
I think it really works. I'm not going to ask how he speaks without a mouth.
Yeah, neither am I.
Yeah, just suspend disbelief for a little bit. I've got to say, I like Andy's shirt. I kind of wish that was still the fashion. I would wear that.
Yeah, it's better than some of the crazier outfits he's had through season 2.
Yeah, it's better than his sort of pink visor sunglasses that he wears in one episode.
Yeah.
Although I would wear those too, but only on the podcast. I definitely wouldn't wear them in public.
Yep. I could just imagine how they explained this to Gerard. So the scene is you lose your face, and then there's a mask of your face that you're going to put on over your face.
There is something kind of surreal about it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Which is cool, because this episode is quite a surreal episode in general. So, yeah. Okay, the effect doesn't work quite as well in that shot, but the close-up when he was looking in the mirror totally worked for me.
Yeah.
I think I would have made it easier on the production team by not putting the curl in his hair while the face disappearing thing was there, because that made it really obvious, because the thing kept blinking out of existence.
Yeah.
I love its voice.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot better than the original production voice, you know, when they were originally filming it, because there was some, you know, upcoming scenes, you know, like as a bumper. And
it's like, yeah, this season on Superboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the voice just didn't sound right.
I wonder who did the original voice and whether it was intended to be the final one. Oh, so maybe that photo doesn't still exist with the autograph on because they had to cut the face out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Unless they made 2. Who knows? If I was burning a sheet of paper in a scene, I would make multiple copies.
Yeah. You know, Sam has said multiple times that he loves episodes where he's not dealing with kryptonite as his weakness. So, I mean...
a weakness to magic is, you know, it's one of my favorite types of Superman weakness story that you can tell. I think it's one of those things that people always neglect to, you know, they don't remember it. It's, oh yeah, he's too powerful. His only weakness is kryptonite. It's like, no, he's got tons of weaknesses. You just never bothered to read the comics.
Yeah.
Every comic fan knows all this stuff, like, you know.
And now she's back to plain old Loretta.
That's all right. Go clothes shopping, take off your glasses, you look the same. She never really needed the magic. She was always an attractive woman. They just dressed her, but like, you know.
They dressed her like Clark.
Yeah. Which is one of the things I like about this episode. Like, she was genuinely like interested in Clark, as well as obviously she likes Superboy as well. But at the beginning of the episode, she likes Clark, which doesn't happen all that often. Although it did seem to happen quite a few times in Superboy. Maybe that's something we should give it extra credit for.
Yep.
It's one thing I loved about Superman and Lois in the first season when they had the flashback episode. It's like, for like the first time that I can think of, Lois fell in love with Clark and wasn't interested in Superman.
Well, she was attracted to him. She just wasn't.
Yeah, but she was in love with Clark first.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's a much needed breath of fresh air for that story, in my opinion, because I don't know how many times you can tell a story of Lois chasing Superman and ignoring Clark these days. It's been done to death.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gazook is still alive. Maybe we'll have him find his way to Gotham City and join up with the ventriloquist, change his name to Mr. Scarface.
Yeah.
He's now scarred because he was set on fire. That's why his face is scarred.
Yep.
Season 5 spoilers.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that was a wonderful episode. It's not one of my favorites, but I think it's a very good episode, and yeah, I think it helps that it's based on a comic. They obviously had good source material to pull from, which is always helpful.
Yeah, I mean, for the season 2 episodes, they did try and pull a lot of stuff from the comics, and as you said before, that they were only allowed to pull the stuff from actual Superboy comics. But
yeah, no adventure comics, even if it's an adventure comics starring Superboy, like can't use it, which is a shame because, as I've said before, I would have loved to have seen the Legion come in at some point, but
yeah. But I mean, overall, this was a good episode. It's not a great episode.
That's it. It's a good episode. It's not a great episode. And but you know something though. I mean, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Some of the worst episodes of Superboy are still more entertaining than some of the best episodes of some of the stuff I've seen lately.
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty shocking TV shows in recent years, none of which made it past the first season, except for Big Bang Theory, which somehow lasted 10 years.
Well, I like Big Bang Theory.
I like the first season. I think it got flanderized very quickly for me.
Yeah. But, to each their own, Yeah. But I mean,
this is probably like any Big Bang Theory fan that's watching this is probably sacrilege to say, but I think Young Sheldon is a better show.
I have not watched it.
For what it's worth, my opinion only, I think Young Sheldon is a much, much better show than Big Bang Theory. It's genuinely quite funny, and the cast is talented, and it helps that it's not a studio sitcom with a laugh track. Like, it's actually single camera.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just tired of audience sitcoms.
And it all depends on the show,
Yeah. I can still watch Friends occasionally. It's not my favourite show, but it's one I can stick on. And the IT crowd, the original IT crowd, that's a lot. That's an audience.
That's the one with Chris O'Dowd, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen clips from that.
Oh, it's brilliant. You know what? See, people out there will let you in on a little bit of behind the scenes of stuff that we discuss on Superboy Legacy. We are going to be doing we have mentioned it before, but we are going to be doing what we call unrelated commentary as a series. And Chris is getting me to watch Police Squad finally. I think I've seen the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I've seen the end of every episode because the freeze frames when the credits go. I've seen every one of those, but I haven't seen the whole show. So maybe if I watch Police Squad with you, you watch the IT Crowd with me.
All right, deal. But what brought,
unless I think of something better.
Yeah, what brought the whole thing on of Police Squad, for those of you out there watching, I finally got to sit down and actually watch my DVD set of it, and I was rolling. And we've been talking about casting for season 5 of our show, and
it's one of our main topics of conversation. Like we constantly just, I've just been watching this. This actor is brilliant. Like, I was watching Columbo, and I messaged you, and I was like, I've been watching Columbo. I've watched about 6 episodes in a day, and they're feature length every episode, so that's a lot. And I said, we've got to find something for Peter.
Well,
Falk. And you said, how about Bullock in Gotham City? And it's like, yeah,
I think the 1990s episodes are feature length, but the original 70s are only an hour long.
Only the first season's an hour long. After that, I think every episode is something like an hour and 10 minutes each. Yeah. Like they're very long from season 2 onwards.
Yeah,
but,
But we were talking about finally, really introducing the JSA, and you had already
settled on in the end. We were discussing whether he would be Green Lantern potentially.
Yes, but we originally were talking about Dr. Fate because you had introduced him in the episode The Burn, and I
never cast him for that for some reason. Yeah. I got all the way through the pitching stage and then went to make the screenshots. I was like, wait, I never actually settled on someone for this role.
But I came up with somebody perfect for Dr. Fate, and that was Patrick McGowan.
I'm not overly familiar with him, but I think you sent me a photo and I recognized him. So
most fans, probably older than you, Tom, in the UK.
Oh, was this from MASH?
No,
MASH? That was somebody else.
No, Danger Man.
Danger Man. No, I never saw Danger Man.
And The Prisoner.
Oh, The Prisoner. Yeah, he was the lead in The Prisoner, was he?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I've seen The Prisoner.
But around this time,
another show with a plastic bubble trying to.
Yeah.
Another show with a plastic bubble trying to, stop people from breathing. Very similar to Yellow Perry.
Yep. But around the time that this show would have been made, that was around the time when he did Braveheart, and he kind of looked like an older Dr. Fate to me. So we were talking about the star of Police Squad himself, Leslie Nielsen, and we both recalled that he originally started as a dramatic actor. It's only later that he became a comedic actor, and we settled on Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, for him.
We did briefly consider him for the Flash, Jay Garrick. But that didn't last very long. I think we both agreed very quickly that Green Lantern's a bit better for him. Because let's face it, like Jay Garrick as the Flash wasn't particularly funny. Like the funny Flash came later.
Yeah,
that's mostly not even Barry Allen. That's usually Wally West who's the funny one.
Yep.
Like,
I think I have the casting for Jay Garrick though.
Oh, have you told me already?
No, I have not.
Please do.
Robert Stack.
Robert Stack. I know the name. I can't place his face.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh yeah. He was the presenter of that, wasn't he?
Yes, and he also played Elliot Ness in the 1950s and 60s on The Untouchables.
Was he in Airplane as well?
Yes.
He was. Was it Rex Kramer?
Yes.
Get me Rex Kramer. Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
No, that was Lloyd Bridges.
Oh, that was Lloyd Bridges, but yeah. Didn't he say that when he was calling in Rex Kramer? And Kramer's got the dog that won't stop attacking the guy that comes to pick him up.
Yeah, and I think the guy who was getting attacked was one of the Zucker brothers.
I love that. And then when they're driving to the airport and like the backdrop keeps changing behind the car, suddenly they're being chased by like Native Americans on horseback. One of the best things ever. I love Airplane. So yeah, we've got to do Police Squad at some point. I think that would be a ton of fun.
Yeah. I mean, the Zucker brothers have said this, it was ahead of its time.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty well known that basically the reason the studio cancelled it after only a couple of episodes, they said that there were too many jokes too fast. The audience couldn't keep up. And at that time, I suppose home video releases weren't even a thing. So it's not like you'll say, well, they'll catch it on VHS. No, they won't.
Yeah, well, according to
they made it it was too funny for its own good, is the phrase I keep
hearing. According to the documentaries that are on the DVD set, the Zucker brothers talked about it, and they said the reason why it got canceled is because you had to pay attention to the show. That's what the studio said. And the Zucker brothers were like looking at it like, huh? And the way they explained it is
there's a lot of shows you have to pay attention to,
Yeah. When people put on TV, especially at that time, they put it on just almost like, putting on the radio just to have something in the background. And then if they hear laughter, they look up and they say, oh, that's funny. That's this typical sitcom thing. But
I mean,
this
you could say the same thing about like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not paying attention to the Twilight Zone, it's probably mostly nonsensical. Like you need to pay attention when watching the Twilight Zone, especially if you want to catch like the whole stuff about like cultural criticism, whatever the word is, when they're talking about real life issues and framing them in a sci-fi concept.
Yeah.
Like, what's that episode with Burgess Meredith? Not the one where the world gets bombed and he runs out of time. It was the one where he's like on trial or something for being a weirdo.
He
was like he didn't conform to society's.
He was a librarian in the episode, and he was only there for like the first 10 minutes. And they brought him before the state, and the state said, "You are obsolete. We don't need libraries anymore."
Mm.
And
which is weird that he played something connected to a library in 2 different episodes.
Yeah. Although the episode where he plays the devil is also really good.
I don't know if I've even seen that one.
Yeah.
The only Twilight Zone episode I can remember where someone played the devil was when they rebooted it in the 80s and Morgan Freeman played the devil in a poker game. That was a great episode. I think the 80s Twilight Zone is super underrated.
Yeah, it has its moments where it's really, really good.
But it also has a lot of bad stuff. But, I think even the original Twilight Zone has forgettable episodes, though. It's every show in the history of television.
Yeah. One of my favorites of the original Twilight Zone is the episode with Robert Redford as the cop.
Don't remember that one.
There's an old woman who's living in essentially a basement tenement apartment. And she's afraid of leaving, and because she's afraid of dying. And this cop comes to her door to check on her, and apparently he gets shot or something. And she brings him into the house because she doesn't want him to die on her doorstep. And throughout the course of the episode, you find out that he's actually the Grim Reaper. The woman is afraid of dying, and he says to her at the end, "Am I scary?" No. I'm just part of life. You have to.
I love stories like that.
It's
I never saw. Did you ever see it? I think it's called Meet Joe Black, where Brad Pitt plays the devil. Not the devil, the Grim Reaper. And he's just like a nice guy, and like he goes to hospitals and comforts the dying, and it's a nice concept. Terrible movie, but it's mostly remembered for the end scene where the guy gets hit by the multiple cars. That used to be shared everywhere, but I like that as a concept. Death shouldn't be scary. It's the same concept as an episode we did a commentary on not too long ago. What's it called?
Into the
one
Mystery.
With the flute. Into the Mystery. I can never remember the title for that episode because the title is a reference to one line in the episode that doesn't make a lot of sense without it.
And you never picked up on the fact that was the reference I was making in Metallic Blaze of Glory.
Yeah. I forgot about the flute. I remembered about the dying aunt and Death being like a beautiful woman, but I completely forgot that she was playing a flute. So yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yep.
I think we've gone on for long enough. Thank you all so much for watching our commentary on Yellow Perry's Spell of Doom, which is a great episode. Well, maybe it's not a great episode, but it's a good episode, and it's a lot of fun. And we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. And be sure to tune back in next week, where we'll be doing a commentary on the next episode from season 2, which is Microboy. So thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that spiel. We hate saying it, but if you don't say it,
yeah.
I guess it's a rule on YouTube. You kind of have to say it, even though we hate doing it. But thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Take care, guys.